Hi guys, welcome to Travel with Austin. I'm Austin. Today we are here in Detroit, Michigan, and we are exploring another abandoned school. Now this school is pretty old. I'm not sure when it stopped being used as a school, but based off some calendars and stuff in here, it in general stopped being used in 2016, and at the time it was being used as like a community center. So starting out, you can see we are in a room with quite a bit of trophies. I would give you guys a closer look at them, but they would probably reveal the name of this location, and obviously we do not want to do that. Up until very recently, this school actually had full power still and heat. There are some areas that still seem to have running water. For some reason, this light is still on and still works, but nothing else that we have been able to find still works. So it's interesting that that one does. So this room's actually pretty bad condition. You can see there's some water on the floor. It smells pretty bad. Lots of clothes. It's possible that, well, as you can see, there's lots of stuff stored in here. So it probably has been storage, either officially or unofficially, since it actually closed down. So here's the auditorium. And when we first enter, you can see we have a ton of baby dolls surrounding a headless baby doll, which is quite interesting. You can see there's some really great details up on the wall here, some molding there. We also have this nice arch ceiling. And here is the stage, which is beautiful. And of course, there's another doll there. Oh, I was going to show you guys that mural, but I do think it would tell you exactly where this school is, so unfortunately I cannot. But the hallways actually have tons of little paintings in them. And when we get to the second floor, you'll see some interesting things they did to the lockers here. So you can still see we have books and everything, toys. Just lots of stuff left behind. I did not notice this fireplace before. That is gorgeous. And it looks like this was a quiet place, quiet room. Oh, look at that too. That's a creepy baby doll. So, like I said, until very, very recently, this place had power, had running heat. We did get a water fountain that still work here. So it does still seem to have at least some water. And as we go through, you're going to see there's just so much stuff left behind. A lot of it is like computers and stuff, but some of it, as you can see by these different colored bears and stuff, are stuff you would expect to find in a school. Now, again, I don't know what grade level this would have been, but based off, the things on the walls, it looks like elementary students. And I guess lockers for elementary students in Detroit is a thing. It's not a thing where I grew up, but things are done differently in other places. This appears to be the old library. Let's take a look at some of the books left behind. A book on supercarriers. Miss Spider's Tea Party. Ferdinand. Just lots and lots of books. Oh. There's a hole in the floor. Looks like it leads to maybe some type of, what's the word? Like, maybe, like, heating tunnel or something, maybe, because there are, radiators in the room, so maybe that's where they service the pipes and stuff. Now, we haven't seen anybody, but for a while, there apparently was a homeless person living here, and honestly, they were probably living here when the power and the heat were on, because that would be the perfect place to stay. So there is one of the entrances. I love that archway. But you can see how the drop-down ceiling added on later cuts off part of the archway. And we're going to navigate through this mess to get over here. And this is the office area. We do have a couch when we first enter, which is kind of weird. You know, desk and stuff. Or, well, cabinets there. Desk here. And then more of the office in here. See, we have a tambourine. You know, usually we only try it with pianos, but it still works. We have a Happy Meal dog toy. I know earlier there was a Hotel for Dogs DVD in here, so maybe that's like from McDonald's having Hotel for Dogs. Now this clock here, my friend Lucy says that this would be the main clock, and basically it would be set in here and could set every clock in the rest of the school, which is really interesting. Obviously growing up, all the clocks in my school were all digital, so we didn't have anything like that, but that's really cool. And then here is one of the wall clocks that was taken off the wall. I have seen one of those where it was open, so I figured it would open, but I guess not. And then here is the former gymnasium, which, as you can see, is just filled with computers. So it's also the snowman there. Also, these are like smart boards, but they're tables. So smart tables. I did not know these existed. They're really cool. So that's interesting. We still got the basketball hoops up. So they still have their nets on them. This place is generally in incredible condition. However, some of it, obviously, as you can see, like the hallways are pretty messed up. But overall, I generally say it's in pretty great condition for being abandoned so long. However, now that the power and heat are off, it is probably going to go downhill pretty quickly, which is unfortunate. Now, we have this room in here. And this one, you can see the floor is starting to have issues. There's another doll set up here, which is really weird. And you can definitely tell this is for younger kids in here. You look so much better when you smile. Ugh. Don't tell people to smile. Now we're going to head up to the second floor and explore around there. And this floor is actually much more interesting in my opinion. Although the gym and the auditorium are great. So first of all, look at these big windows here. Lots of natural light. And we get up here and you can see we still have desks. We still have those little shapes they made us play with as kids. I love these built-in storage. They're just so beautiful. And try not to step on the glass there. You can take a look at what a much better conditioned hallway looks like here. You can see the nice clock up there on the wall. The tiles. And as we walk through. This reminds me of kind of like a security system in a way, but I don't think it is. I think it's just storage. But I've seen things where it's like it's got the monitors and then it would have the drives down there and stuff. Again, more beautiful wood. And here is the clock. That's pretty ornate. And we're going to go up here now. Now, The last thing this was used as was for a baseball academy. And it basically is like a secondary gym. You may be able to see by the signs on the walls that this was donated by Ford. Of course, we are in Detroit, so that does make a lot of sense. That looks more like a fake golf thing, but we have a T-ball and a T-ball bat. Then we have, of course, the rest of the room. Oh, I didn't look in here last time. Oh, look, it's a pitching machine. Some gym lockers and equipment. That looks like internet stuff. IT stuff that I don't know too much about. Now, on this floor, as we walk through it, the lockers have different cities painted on them, which is kind of interesting. Also, kids playing on equipment and stuff. But here is Shanghai, then St. Louis, Kyiv, of course, Detroit, which I'm surprised is not the biggest one. Chicago, and then so come down here. We even have Seattle. Now, it's really interesting because some of these, like this one, still kind of have their classroom look. But if we go to these two next door, you can see we have an air hockey table and a foosball table. There is a desk in here too, though. And then if we just go one more door over, we have a workout area. And they even have a "Do you even lift" here? So now, the most interesting areas of this building, in my opinion, are going to be down this hallway. So first, we got this nice tricycle here in the hallway, creating a spooky scene for us. And then we'll take a look at these classrooms too, but you can see classroom, spooky tricycle, classroom with desks in it still. Then we get down to these three rooms. So first, we'll go in here. This is kind of like an office. It is the least interesting of these three rooms, but it's still more interesting than the identical classrooms. Then we have the second most interesting room, which when you start out, you could be a little bit disappointed until you see this is where they would have filmed stuff. You can see we have the camera tripod still. We have a news desk set up. Looks like this room was basic video production 101. Look, they had a flag hung up and then they had a fan so they could make the flag wave in the fan. So this is the second most interesting. And then we're going to enter the most interesting room, which if you've ever seen a video or picture of this place, you've probably seen a picture of this area. That is this old computer lab. And it's absolutely insane. First of all, these computers look so old. But look at them, it's so interesting. As you can see, people have written on them, "Save me," "Spare me." Ohio Red was here. Mr. P was also here. And Teddy Bear Travels. He has his name on like a chalkboard here somewhere. But yeah, this is a section you've probably seen photos of. I wonder if this is an optical mouse or not. Nope, still has the ball. You guys remember when you had to hard boil an egg and use the yolk for the ball every week? In case someone is too young for that, that is a joke. So here is the computer lab. It is probably the most famous room of this building, and it's honestly the coolest. The thing is, these computers are out of date, so even if someone could save them, they probably wouldn't be, worth saving, except for a collector. But yes, this is the abandoned school in Detroit that was used most recently, as far as I can tell, as a community center. And today I am here in Renville, Ohio, and we're going to be taking a quick look at the ruins of the old Renville Public School. Now, this was the first integrated school in the state of Ohio, meaning that people of all races could attend the same classes together. Renville in general actually was very progressive in the sense that race wasn't as big of a deal here as it was in many other places in the country, especially during these times, which would have been the 1800s through the mid-1900s. This school, I do believe, was built in the late 1800s, and of course received some additions and, of course, maintenance over the years, but now it is in a very sad state. So looking through here, this is kind of the main classroom area that is left. As you can see, looks like we had at least 2 stories of classroom, maybe a third since the very top is also wooden. And of course we had the basement, where you can see there is still a boiler here. And you can see that it is, of course, falling apart. Now you may also notice on the walls here, there are the remains of blackboards on the walls. And an interesting thing about this is that some of the bricks, most likely either used during an expansion or during repairs, were made in prisons. So, let's see, we have one right here. We have one right here that was made in 1926. It was a convict-made brick at the Ohio State Brick Plant. And then, so we continue to walk around and take a look. There is actually still accessible the stairs up to the 2nd floor. Now, last time I was here, I did not go up them, but I am going to go up them today. I do say that if you are coming out here, be cautious. These are concrete, but it's always good to be safe. So, as you can see, we are heading up. And as we get to the top, you'll look out to the former front of the school, which is definitely much more in ruins than the other part. And from here, the drop doesn't look the worst in the world, although I would not recommend it still. But if you come over here, you can see we are in the top floor of the classrooms. And you can look straight down into the basement, 3 stories below. Definitely not for the faint of heart. I am afraid of heights, so not really for me either, but felt like I should show it off. And luckily, if I died, Dawson is here, so he can still upload it. Upload the footage, then call the cops. So, also on this property, there are stairs that lead into the town. Dawson did find some of them, but we did not follow them all the way down. There is also an empty brick structure down over that way near my car. But to end this video, I'm just going to show you guys the view from the front real quick. So, here we are. Here is the view from the front. And as you can see, despite everything having fallen down, the front door frame is still standing. standing very strong despite everything else around it being in ruins. Now, that is all I have to show you guys today, but before I end the video, I do want to end it with something I saw online from some locals who lived in the area. They said that they had grown up in the area and that for years the school was left like it would just be reopening the next day. There's still stuff inside of it, things like that. And sadly, it has fallen into ruins now, of course. And they also did say that there used to be a bell here. However, that bell was stolen at some point. Today we are here in Detroit, Michigan, and we are going to be exploring an abandoned school. Now, I do believe that this was an elementary school, but I'm not 100% sure. It is rather old and has been abandoned for a long time, so it's possible it could have been used last as an elementary school, or at some point just used for it and later turned into a different type of school. So as you can see, we are in the gymnasium here, which is in the first floor. You can see we still have basketball hoops up, but we don't have any nets left. The floor is absolutely destroyed. There is a hole in the ceiling here. And you can see there is one of the ropes there that, you know, they'd make people climb up during gym. So now we are going to enter into the main hallway. And as you can see, everything is kind of ripped out and barren. There are some stairs to the second floor there, but we're not taking those ones. And some doors that originally would have led to the outside. However, the whole building is boarded up now. So none of those doors are accessible. So we're actually going to walk through the rubble this way. And this side is actually in much worse shape down here than the other side. As you can hear, it is very, very crunchy. And we'll take a look at one of the rooms down here. So you can see they're pretty gutted. Ooh, this one does have a fireplace left in it though. That's very interesting. And then, oh, does look like, oh, so those doors, the windows are still unboarded, but you can see there's a little board on the back there. Here is another classroom. You can see we've got some cabinets left behind, and of course the chalkboards. With all these cabinets, I'm wondering maybe if this was a science room, or even art, I guess it could be. It's really impossible for me to know. So let's go up to the second floor, which thankfully this is an old building with concrete floors. So the second story is still safe, just if you don't trip over things. And there's a lot more natural light up here because not all the windows are boarded. So can take a look in here. This one is boarded up, but there is some natural light peeking through. Actually tell it's really beautiful still as far as decay goes. Now, we do not know when this school was abandoned, but we do imagine it has been a few decades. I have seen graffiti in here from 2002, so I imagine it's at least been abandoned since then. So, as we continue on, I gotta pick up my flashlight. We're not gonna go through every room because not every room is worth seeing, but I'll show you a good amount of them. You can also see we have these like alcoves here in the hallways, which are really cool looking. And then over here, I believe this is one of the bathrooms. So yeah, this is one of the former bathrooms, as you can tell. Completely destroyed. You can see where the toilets were, but not anymore. And then wide open windows here on the second floor. Now, I imagine these holes in the walls here would have been where lockers would have been, which is part of why I'm not sure if it was actually an elementary school, or at least originally was, since typically, at least where I'm from, you would not give an elementary student a locker. Things could be different here. I have no idea how their school system works, but that's at least how it works where I'm from. Now this room is like locked off, and you can tell someone tried to pull it open and it didn't work, but the camera can take a little peek inside. So there's your little peek in there. And then we do have this hallway over here, and I think this scene is just kind of beautiful right here with the former skylight that has crashed in, and then the recent snow that has fallen through, because we are recording this in the winter. I know it won't come out till much later. I think this is just kind of a beautiful scene on its own. Now, so continue down this way. We do have a few rooms. So this one is mostly filled with junk. And again, we have a mostly empty room here. Now this does have a coat in it and like water bottles and stuff, so it's possible someone could have been living in here, or possibly still is, but hopefully, yeah, it doesn't look like anyone is recently. I was gonna say, hopefully I don't disturb anybody. But I mean, this is a decent place to get... Oh, that's interesting. I didn't notice that blanket before. This is a decent place to take shelter from the weather. And it is pretty hard to get into, so you don't have to worry about many people bothering you. So, let's continue on. Continuing on down the crunchy hallways. And as you can see, there were lots of staircases to get up and down here. We also do have this room right here, which does have a shopping cart in here. I imagine they had to get that in before all the doors were boarded up, because really there's no other way you would have got that in here, but they still had to bring it up to the second floor. So, let's take a look in this room. Again, these rooms are mostly gutted, but they're still, I mean, it's still cool to come in here and see all this. Let's see, and then more snow where the roof has, well, it hasn't even really caved in. That part caved in, but that part's wide open and kind of looks like it was meant to be wide open, or there was supposed to be a hatch or something there. And you can see all the snow that is coming in right now. At least that was a pretty cool shot. And then here we have another room. You can see it's got lots of natural light, but the floor is destroyed. Luckily, underneath all of this wood, it is the concrete floors. So what my friend Lucy told me is that they would put the wooden floors on top of the concrete for sound dampening. I'm going to trust her on that because I don't know on my own. And now we are back on the first floor on the other side. And to end our video, we're going to loop back around to the gym, but on our way, we're going to take a look at the auditorium. So, let's go ahead and get over to it. Again, another staircase. I don't think it's going to show up right on camera, but the light is kind of golden, even though it's not golden hour. And then here is the auditorium. As you can tell, there's no seats or anything left in it, but we still have the stage here with 2 criminals on it. Unfortunate. You can tell the stage is still in decent condition. And that is the second time I've fallen in this video. It does look like there was like a fire there at one point. So here's looking at the auditorium. And then, as I said, to end this video, we are going to go back to the gymnasium. So that has been the abandoned elementary school in Detroit, Michigan. We're here in Ohio, and we are going to be exploring an abandoned elementary school. So it seems like this school has been abandoned since about 2012, at least based off some of the writing on the chalkboards in here. And it was an alternate elementary school. So you can see it does have lockers in it, which is kind of interesting for an elementary school. And you may notice that it is kind of smoky in here. So it does seem like at some point someone did set a fire in here, and it may still be smoldering / going out. So taking a look at the gym here, you can see the floor is all risen up. It is extremely smoky in the gym. As far as we can tell, there is no active fire, but there is a trash can at the other end of the gym, which most likely they set the fire in that to keep warm or something, because there are homeless people who are staying in here. So let's go over to this end and I'll show you guys. So, if you can see out there that trash can, they most likely set a fire in there and it's still causing smoke. But we definitely are most likely going to, report this just in case. Because if there is a fire somewhere, that's very bad and dangerous, obviously. You can see here we have gated off second floor. And then we can go here and take a look at some of the old rooms here. Now, I'm not exactly sure what an alternate elementary school is compared to a normal one, but I do notice that a lot of the rooms seem set up for like arts and crafts, or kind of have a workshop set up, like these shelves on the walls here. And you can see last date on that board, May 30th, 2012. Then everything's possible if you just lose your mind to it. So here is another one of the classrooms. And woohoo, first graders. And you can see a book character there painted on the wall. She looks really familiar, but I can't remember her name. Some more rooms. There is the book room. It does seem like there are people currently using that as shelter. Homeless people, so we are not going to look in there because it's filled with their stuff, and we're just going to give them some privacy. Now here is one of the larger rooms. Like I said, it's like set up for arts and crafts. let's see if we can see what any of these labels are. Fabric, machine supplies, tracing wheels and paper. So yeah, you'll also notice that there's areas in here for cats. So there's a litter box, looks like there's normally food in there, water, and a little cat house. But we unfortunately haven't seen any cats while we've been here. So if we go down here, we have more hallways and more rooms. But let's go check out the cafeteria, which, as you can see, obviously all the tables and chairs are gone. So it is just an empty room, but the kitchen still has a lot of stuff left in it. So you can see we still have the lunch line areas with all the serving areas here. Still have some of the equipment. I think that's a pair of jeans in this oven, I assume. Dishwashing sinks, stuff like that. And you can see there has been a few pieces of equipment that have been removed. Probably stuff that was considered good enough to take to like a new location or something. But we still have some of it. This, I believe, would be a fryer. And, you know, everything right here was ripped out. Looks like this would be like dish return. And then well, that was a bit loud. So here we are on the other end. You can see this other door to the cafeteria is like closed shut with that plank. And we'll just take a quick, brief peep into the mechanical room. So you can see all the stuff here, and then that door leads up to a garage with a ramp so that they could bring equipment in and out. And I think I already pointed this out, but you can tell that there's gates in different areas here so that they could like separate different sections out. And then we kind of have like the main lobby of the school up here. And this is actually really cool and beautiful. We have all of these tiles here. Nice light up here. And what kind of looks like a conversation pit. But I guess the opposite of a pit, a raised conversation area. Then we have this really cool sculpture on the wall here. And I'm guessing maybe this was filled with water or some type of fake like flower bed. And then let's see here. So this would be the auditorium. I have not seen this yet. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Here's the backstage area. Ooh, ladder to the top. And we got all the different seats and stuff. This creepy decoration here. And then we've got the stage area. This area is kind of rough compared to the rest of the building, at least the parts we've been in. Ooh. We got some still water there. And it doesn't look like it'd be too safe to walk up there, at least from this side. So there is the stage. And here's just another look at the auditorium in full. I really love auditoriums. They look so interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and go down the main hallway. Oh, let's take a look at another room in here. Got some storage and bathrooms, nothing too special. Take a look at some more of the rooms in here. So I'm guessing that this leads to backstage of the auditorium. Okay, so yeah, this is part of it. Ugh, look at that still water. So, oh, look, it's a practice room, probably for a band or choir. So here we are on the stage. I'm not going to walk too far out on it. I know you saw my friend walk out on it earlier, but I'm just going to be a bit more cautious. So this was Mr. Adams' room. He taught music. Yeah. This definitely looks like a music room. Got the little stage and everything. Something you can't see because they're covered up on the inside is those windows actually have metal sheets on them on the outside. Which is something I've never seen in a school before, but hey. This is a city school, so it's probably different than what I'm used to, having lived out in a rural area. So, this is connected to the auditorium. Looks like it may have been like the play manager's area. And then they kind of have an upper area where they can look out here and look at all that glass. And there's even another room in here. Wow. It does look like their auditorium must have gotten a lot of use if they gave it so much, space and then extra classroom space next to it. So we are going to continue on. I'm going to attempt to show you part of the upstairs. We have not been up there yet, so I'm not exactly sure how well it's going to go. But we're going to go down the main hallway. Hi.
We talked to, I think you're with them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we seen the smoke from outside, and we were like, what the hell?
Oh, so do you know, like, is there any, like, we saw the gym smoking really bad, but we didn't see any fire.
Yeah, I don't, we just smelled it and seen the smoke, so I don't know.
Huh.
That's why we just came in, so. There's a lot of kids that come in and out here all the time.
Okay.
They like to break windows and everything else.
Yeah. Thank you, you guys too. Okay, so that's some good information. I'm gonna go ahead and keep walking down. I think maybe this was a library? Possibly. At least based off the shelves and stuff. More litter boxes. Be nice to see the cats. I am going to kind of start hurrying this up. Looks like we got some modern equipment. And, ooh, this looks like a science lab. And, yeah. So, there's the stairs down below to the gym area. So yeah, this has been the abandoned school here in Ohio. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this exploration. And if you did, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. And hopefully this building is not on fire. Today we are here in Detroit and we are exploring another abandoned school. Now, just like the previous ones, I don't have much information on this one. And in fact, here I have even less. We do believe it originally was either a religious school or at least associated with the church. However, we are not sure if it still was at the end. Now, I am actually recording this before doing a full walkthrough of the building because this is a pretty well exposed building, so I'm not sure how long we'll actually be able to be in here. And along with that, this building has caught fire multiple times, so I'm not exactly sure what all areas we're going to access. For example, I know we're not going to access the balcony here in the amphitheater, but there is a second floor, and I don't know if we're going to go up to it or not because I'm not exactly sure the state of it. So we're of course starting out in the auditorium. You can see we still have most of the seats here. There is the stage. You can see some of the stuff that's supposed to be up above has fallen down. And here are the stairs that go up. They're actually really decent looking stairs. They look metal. I'm just not sure if I trust that, even though it does look concrete. We're just not going to risk it. We're going to play it a bit safe. So like I said, this is very exposed. There's so many entrances and exits to this place that are wide open, and it's next to several houses and stuff. And actually, as we were walking around the building, there were like people watching us from their windows, which was a bit creepy. So we're just gonna walk around. Oh, here's the gymnasium. Wow, this is big. This is nice still. And they actually have lockers in the walls of the gymnasium, which I've never seen before. Let me give you guys a look here. Look, there's basketballs and stuff. You know what? I don't know if that'd make too much noise. Let me see. There, it's flat anyway. That would have been fun though. So yeah, here is the gymnasium. You can see right here there was a fire and that did burn through some of the floor. Now, I don't know if these fires were accidental, if they were arsonists, or if, you know, they were homeless people trying to keep warm in the winter. But there have been quite a few fires here. So we're going to keep walking now. And I do apologize if I do pause for a second in some areas to take a photo, just to make sure I get everything while I can. I've also noticed that a few of these doors here are very, like very strong metal doors. And also the little bit of glass on there has a cage on it. So I'm wondering if a school was its actual last use, or if maybe it was like some type of low-level juvie thing or something. Wow. Now this building is in pretty bad shape overall. Like, everything is kind of trashed, and I'm sure the fires did not help at all. So I'm guessing that this would be the locker rooms. Hi, Lucy.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm recording a video.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So here are the locker rooms. Interesting. Oh, so where are you? Have you noticed a lot of these doors have like cages and stuff on them and are like really thick metal?
Yeah, it seems intense. I wonder if there's something weird about this school.
Well, so if you go down the hallway where it looks like it's the cafeteria kitchen, even though there's no cafeteria, there's a big metal door with no windows too. So do you think it was maybe used like for some type of juvenile thing for a little bit?
I could see that, like maybe or even for orphans or something like that, or people with disabilities. Although they wouldn't have stairs with disabilities.
Well, I don't think they'd have big metal doors for people with disabilities either. Oh, look, it's Bowser.
Oh, that's been there for a fucking long time. I could have been your kind of kid I had.
But yeah, so like, here is what looks like where you'd get served cafeteria food, but then there's no cafeteria, and at the end of the hallway is just this big metal door. I guess it does have a small window in it.
We could eat their shit off the gym, but there would be an easy way for them to get there.
Is that a chapel? So we might have just found a chapel. Like I said, there was some type of religious affiliation with this place at one point. Does look like pews.
Yeah, they kind of do.
Oh, are they not?
No.
Darn. Well, unfortunately, it's not a chapel. It did look like pews from far away. But we got some desks and stuff. Some counting numbers. That's an interesting red glow on that door. Not a fan of that. And then as we continue through here, you're also going to see some of the like lock off areas that schools have, so that they can like lock off a certain area. This place in particular has a lot of them. So you can see there is one up ahead. But first, let's check out the other side of this cafeteria looking area. So, I mean, maybe it wasn't a cafeteria. Maybe that's just like, well, there's Eco Lab and how to do the pots and pans up on the wall there. So yeah, there was definitely some type of food and dishes here. Wow. We still have canned foods. Let me see if they have an expiration date on them. That one doesn't seem to. One doesn't either, unfortunately. But yeah, we still got some trays, some canned foods. Does look like there's a small fire right there. That is interesting. So let's keep on going. Take a look at one of the rooms here. You can see, again, fire everywhere. But the beautiful storage on the wall is still there. I do prefer how it looked at the other school we went to with the computer lab. That was much more beautiful, but hey, it's nice that they still have some. And then we continue this way. I am noticing a lot of similarities in these different schools. I don't know if it's just a regional thing or maybe they're all built around the same time, but I have noticed like these archway alcoves in a lot of the buildings, and a lot of them do seem to have been used for water fountains, which is definitely what these were used for at one point. So again, another room all ripped up. Definitely fire in here at one point. And then I keep going. Oh, this one still has its chalkboard in it. And it has Gerald. We love Gerald. Everyone say hi to Gerald. We do have the chalkboard. Okay, this storage looks much nicer. I like this. Desks and stuff. And then let's see. It's pretty torn apart, as you can obviously see. I imagine that this is a building that if they had the money and opportunity to, they would probably demolish. I don't know if there's any plans to, but I imagine if it keeps catching on fire, it probably will be demolished. Yeah, so there's some more of that classic storage. Again, I don't know if some of these features are an age thing or if it's like a common theme around here. So, see murderer. And I can't tell who that is. Oh, it looks like they're braving the upstairs. We're going to attempt that in a second, but we're going to finish down here first. So this door is actually locked off now, but you can see super burnt out inside. And then, again, just more rooms filled with crap that are burnt out. This was probably like a trophy case at one point. That room is probably the same, so let's go ahead and see how the second floor is. So already, tons of glass that we're walking through, and what appears to be soot and ash. Not the best sign. But the floor appears to be concrete, so we'll actually get to explore up here, it seems like. Yeah. We'll just have to be really careful. Probably won't go in a lot of the rooms, like, definitely not going into that mess. And also, although I think it actually looks pretty great, these floors were almost definitely not black, and that is probably a result of fire. So, Got some Bacardi up here. Look at how that floor is bowing up. That's insane. What is this room? Oh, that's interesting. Just seems kind of like a normal room, but for some reason it has one side that's exit only. Ceiling is also black here. But it's not that bad for definitely having been on fire. Wow. We still got a keyboard here. Interesting, I pressed the call button. I wonder if that's like for the intercom. Oh my god. Oh. Okay, I thought those were wood logs, like someone was preparing to start another fire. We can take a look in here. It's just a storage room. I thought it was going to be a bathroom, honestly. Another classroom. Interesting, it looks like there may be a third floor. I don't remember seeing one from the outside. Oh, look at this, we got half of a globe here. That's pretty cool. This is interesting. So I imagine this is a very small area, so let's go check it out first. It might honestly lead to the roof. Oh yeah, it's like a maintenance room. Got some filters. Guessing that's some sort of boiler or hot water tank. There is a window that could get you out to the roof. I don't do roofs, sorry. It looks like we do have a room back here. And we're just gonna peek in here real quick. I can definitely feel a big draft coming from in here. Oh, that is creepy as hell. So this is like all the internals of the school. Wow, okay. Give me a second, I gotta get a photo of this. That's like one of the unfortunate things about Urbex is, especially at a place like this where it's wide open and right next to so many different houses, you don't know how long you're gonna get in a location, so you gotta take advantage of every moment. So let's go back down to the second floor. And we can take a look around here and finish up our video. Oh, hello. It's part of an old flip phone. So I think this is probably going to be a lot of the same, but we'll still walk through it, and I'll show you guys some of it. I mean, this is a big building. Huh, that's blocked off from the inside. That's interesting. I am kind of surprised that... Did someone climb in that window? Oh my goodness. If you guys can't see, there are footprints leading up to that window. That would be interesting, especially since there are so many easier ways to get inside. I am surprised there's not more signs of homeless people in here, but given how close to, you know, these houses this is, its reputation for catching on fire, and it's also very drafty in here. I can kind of understand it. Now there is a basement level. Ooh, this side is way worse. There's a basement level, and we will not be checking out the basement. Wow. Holy crap. Yeah, massive fire. Yeah, just because, you know, it's probably not worth it. And also the last school that we went to, the basement, we found the door to it, and there was a weird, creepy singing sound coming from it. Eventually, we did realize that it was a radio, and the song it was playing was one of Sam Smith's songs, but it was still creepy because who was down there, you know, playing music? So it does seem like pretty much all of this is going to be the same. Today we are here in southeastern Ohio, and we are going to be exploring an abandoned school. Now this school was built in 1914 and was abandoned in the 1980s. By the time we had explored it, it had already been abandoned for 42 years, other than occasional use as a haunted house attraction. So as we explore through this, you are going to still see some parts of the haunted house attraction that are still here. But unfortunately, by the time this video goes up, this building is probably gone. Demolition was approved and funding was secured, with demolition to happen sometime in 2025. However, before it was demolished, we decided that we would go through it and document it to at least have some video evidence of what it looked like before it was gone. Now, I have to say, this school gave me some Silent Hill vibes. I do love how these shuttered windows bring in this kind of golden light, which was really wonderful to look at. Most of the rooms are completely empty, and interestingly enough, although the hallway floors were concrete, the floors into the different rooms were wooden. The stairs were concrete as well, and again, you can see where they have shuttered up the windows up here, but the light going through gives this nice golden glow. So as we make our way up to the second floor, you're going to notice that the condition of the building does get worse. For example, you can see all the debris on the stairs here, and you'll notice that a lot of the rooms here are either blocked off or don't have a roof in them. Now you also notice as we walk through, there is some graffiti, and some of it may be from the haunted house because there is things such as pumpkins on the wall, but some of it is just normal graffiti. Now all this tarp and stuff that is hanging down is most likely from the haunted house. And as we look in here, you can see, you know, another one of the displays that would have been from the haunted house here. And then in here was kind of like an office that the door was closed to, but you can see the windows are all busted out back there. There were lots of birds in this building, so walking around this floor in particular was a bit difficult because you were walking all over bird poop and you were doing your best not to startle the birds. You can actually see some in the windows over there and some flying around. But it does give you an idea of this school and exactly what it looks like on the inside. Now, I will say there is a basement that we did not get on video. The basement actually had even more haunted house stuff still in it, including like a fake electric chair looking thing and a severed fake foot. But as you look in these classrooms, you can notice how big they are, how they still have chalkboards in some of them, but also overall how little of them there are, I guess you could say. Um, the school looked much bigger on the outside than it really was, but this is a very small town. The population is just over 300. You can see some of the fake coffins and stuff from the haunted house there, as well as in here there's another fake coffin and part of a little stage area for the haunted house. So, like I said, they just kind of left stuff behind from that haunted house. And then you can also see there was a ladder to the roof. Given that the roof itself was collapsing in, you know, in certain areas on the inside, we definitely weren't going to risk that. But still, quite interesting. So this is our exploration of this abandoned school. Unfortunately, it is probably gone by now, but it was nice to document it while it still existed. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. Thanks for watching.